All right. Hi, Raphael. How you
I
doing?
just
Good to see you.
good to see you too.
Yeah, let's jump into our coaching session. Why don't we start off with a check-in from this past week?
Hmm.
Yeah, Raphael, how was this past week? What were some victories or also challenges or maybe insights that you got from this past week?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it was actually quite interesting. I think not that long after our session, the first victory I had was actually um kind of I'm meditating. I was saying meditating in my car, but don't worry, I'm wide awake. But being and then suddenly the two other identity statements popped up. I had the first one, I'm a transformational missionary already, which I felt quite well with. And the other ones about finances, the one that came up was I'm a caring provider. And
Mm,
then um, about balance around more like sleep and family is I'm a energetic family man.
mm,
And they felt immediately quite good as well. And I think the next day we went to, I mean, the same day I had to do a lot of shopping and things like this. And so I really could connect to these identities immediately. Like I needed a lot of energy to, because I was shopping things for setting up the swimming pool for my kids because it was really we have a huge heat wave in our area for a whole week
mm,
coming up. So I mean, it was already starting, and we was going to continue. And then we also went to a swimming pool the next day, and there's these moments where you feel tired and things like this. But having this identity statement of I'm energetic family man always kind of gave me that extra wake up call, like, hey, let's go, and it's not like I was forcing it. It was just like just activating something that kind of was dormant, that's
mm.
there, and I was not connected to it, and so
Right.
that was very interesting. um about the caring provider, actually, I was just meditating before the session actually about it, and something I felt like something not it's not completely correct, and actually now I actually, in the meditation I did, I actually transformed it into I'm a loving provider. And I don't know exactly why, but suddenly the energy shifted. I felt like much stronger energy, so I'm gonna
Mm,
change it in the table. Um, yeah, maybe the loving sounded more maybe more active more than caring. Caring seems like, yeah, I care about things, but loving was like really, I love to do things. Um,
mm, mm.
anyway, it
Right.
was already in a good direction, just adjustments. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
And then yeah, I'm a transformational missionary. It was really, wow, it was really powerful because I'm currently, reflecting about my current mission in France, and if I'm going to continue the same way, if I'm going to change or do more. And there's a whole process to decide these things, and there were some things in the process that I was kind of struggling with, and yeah, it was really difficult for me to process that. There was a lot of anger, and I had a feeling that there was some kind of the anger that was kind of righteous. Yeah, this is right. Something that they're not doing completely correctly. But then it became very easily that the line was very thin towards like ego anger, like I'm angry
Mm,
against this person instead of like, and I felt like the line was very thin, and in praying I could really sense that you could really move from one to the other. And
mm,
that already would help to become aware of that what's going on in there, and there's something righteous about it, but there's also, you know but then having a conversation, I had a conversation with a mentor on the next day, and then also with my national leader. And when I shared about this, that really helped me a lot to have a whole other perspective on it, to see it more from a restorational point of view and spiritual point of view, and being accepting that things were not done in the correct way, and that having a right attitude despite things maybe not done correctly from a more horizontal point of view was the right thing to do. And interestingly, I had that many times, but this time it kind of really went deep inside. It didn't stay just an intellectual level. I really felt it, like, yes, this is really right
mm.
about this
Right.
attitude. So I really felt this transformation. There was really like a before and after. And I
Mm,
really felt like whatever my next mission is, whatever I'm going to do, I felt like this is exactly the training I needed. This is exactly the challenge and training I needed to be ready. I felt like, wow, if I wouldn't have been through that challenge and wouldn't have had this transformation, I wouldn't have been as much ready for my next steps.
mm,
So, and in this way, I felt like really connected to this transformational mystery was about, of course, here was more about transforming myself, but that's also part of it. But also connected to my mission. So that was really interesting to connect to these identities and see how they were working in my daily life in the past week. Yeah.
right, right. Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations, Raphael. That's sounds like a really insightful and productive week. Creating your identity statements and meditating on them, getting more clear. And yeah, just like you did, it's kind of a refining process. You kind of see what works and what like resonates with you. And yeah, I think you found some identity statements that really resonate with you and give you energy. It's a loving provider, an energetic family man, and transformational missionary, which is awesome. Um, and yeah, reaching out for support. I think that in itself is such an important part of you know life and being able to move forward is being able to kind of humble ourselves to reach out for that support when we need it. And yeah, just to hear that that made such a like a shift in your mindset, is so awesome and really cool. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to hearing, what's going to be next. I think you're in a really exciting direction. So yeah, great job this week, Raphael.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I really felt like that it was really the right timing for connecting to these identity statements. Really. Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah,
right. Yeah.
nice.
Amazing how that that works out like that. Synchronicity, call it, right?
Mhm. Yes.
All right. Um, so yeah, again, congratulations. And this week, as we're continuing in this WISER process. So we just completed creating these identity statements. And so for this week, the next step would be going into the inspiration, which is in the eye of WISER. And here we create breakthrough goals. So basically, these are goals that we create on the foundation of the identity statements that you just created this past session, this past week. So rather than thinking about goals as like what are some things that I should accomplish or I need to accomplish, because of work or because of some circumstances, really going deeper inside in seeing these breakthrough goals as it's kind of a natural expression of who you are, um, as a transformational missionary. Like if you really just imagine yourself being that, like what would be something you could achieve or something that you could do that would just be like a natural expression of you living that identity statement out in your life. Um, so that's kind of the mindset that we want to get into as we create these goals. Um, but yeah, of course, we're going to take it, this is always like a dance, take it one step at a time, see what shows up. Um, so yeah, ready to jump into creating some breakthrough goals?
Yeah, yeah. Again, I really feel like it's the right timing and the right order. Like setting goals connected with identity, and it really feels right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. Very cool. All right. So, let's go with the first one. As a transformational missionary, Raphael, what would be a goal or something that you could achieve, um, that would really kind of excite you as this identity? What comes up for you?
Yeah, what kind of at first is something about um transforming something in a community in France, in our movement in France. I feel like that's definitely something that's a lot on my mind and my heart.
Mm,
People like to transform, and of course, connected to my mission. And yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's a part of me saying, yeah, but my mission is not clearly defined yet. But actually, I realized, actually the goal maybe does not need to depend on this, or
mm,
actually the goal will help to kind of clarify even more what mission I should focus. So
mm, mm. Right. Okay, so some kind of transformational, you know, outcome in France in your community. Yeah, and I think that's a great insight, right? Don't necessarily have to wait until you
yeah.
receive your job description to imagine what would you want to see happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would really excite you? Because that's the most important thing, is that it excites you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I'm trying to see is what's clearly in before and after
Mm,
certain set of time. Um, and one thing that comes to my mind, I'm not sure if it's more like yeah, I'm not sure if it's really because I'm inspired about it or because that's really what I feel like is needed. Um, it's about like a generational transition,
mm,
which something about the fact you kind of that for those from the younger generation who are ready to kind of step up, um, and which can be done very progressively, of course, but that there's this intention that this transition needs to happen, um, because our elders already have done so much and they've given so much, and it's really I feel like the foundation was well laid on many different things, but I feel like the next level it would be maybe much easier for the next generation to build it based on the foundation that was created, which
mm,
foundation most likely the younger generation wouldn't have been able to build because we have different qualities. I feel like, generally speaking.
mm.
Um, so right now I'm thinking, is this already the right direction, or and should I like kind of set a goal around this, or is like look at different areas, look at different yeah.
Mm. Okay, I mean, yeah. What do you think? Is this kind of the thing that you want to focus on in this area, or is there something else? Of course, you can have multiple goals, related to this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I mean that definitely would be a related to my mission and would be definitely a transformation.
Hmm.
Uh, Even just before our call, we were talking about. I was brainstorming about how to create like a daily devotion that the younger generation would connect to on a regular basis, which I feel like many nations communities have developed a great daily devotion since COVID, but not many have. And some of them, but not many have been able to connect the younger generation to that. So it shows me that something that actually is a lot on my mind.
Hmm.
Mm.
Creating some kind of devotion that could actually attract the younger generation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about the devotion. It's more, yeah. Actually, what's really on my mind is how to help people grow spiritually on a daily basis.
Hmm. Yeah, helping people grow spiritually on a daily
It's
basis,
just one of the options that you can use to do that.
right?
You know, it's true. I used to read and listen to so much personal growth content at one moment, and
Mm,
coaching content and everything. But interesting, in the past few months, I haven't been so much interested in doing that. And I was wondering, oh, is there a problem? Am I not growing anymore? I'm not interested in growth anymore. I think there's this, but I realize is that there's actually many things I've integrated and that I'm just using in my daily life to grow. And I don't necessarily need to kind of nurture it so much as before. But the end is really what's important is that I continue to grow, that I continue to
mm,
grow on a daily basis. And when I look at what I shared in the check-in, I could see that I'm still growing, even if I'm not like
yeah.
uh, consuming hours and hours of content,
Right.
which could be the same for devotion. You could spend hours and hours of devotion and transform, or you could also not. So it's a great tool, but it's not the goal. It's not the goal itself.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it
Yeah. Yeah.
sounds like what you're really excited about is to see kind of people growing every single day. Um, Whatever
Mhm.
that looks like. It doesn't have to look one way, but
Yeah.
just really seeing and knowing that people are growing daily and experiencing that sense of growth every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I really, since Shimona came up with this motto of peace starts with me, I really feel connected to this, to the fact that peace starts with me. That means my own transformation is really the one thing that will help to me to transform others or on bigger levels. As Trufala was saying that, before I try to master the universe, I, first need to master myself. So
Mm,
yeah, I really feel like there's some strong things. Like, well, yeah, when I think about what could be transformed in a movement, of course, there could be an endless list. There's always space for improvement on certain things. Um, but actually, I realized that it feels like that's the one thing if we're able to transform that people transform in their daily lives on an ongoing basis, then kind of it makes everything else kind of almost natural that other things will happen. And,
mm,
and if we don't make that happen, all the other things will be much more difficult to make happen. Kind of.
mm. Right, right, right.
Yeah, I feel like that if we are a community of very empowered and growing individuals, then yeah, I feel like at the same time, yeah, people will be able to both be able to contribute so much more and also feel more fulfilled. And the other, yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because the other day I was reflecting about, that sometimes members feel like um, they don't want to give anymore. And sometimes think, oh, they don't want to give because they're afraid that they're not receiving anything back. Or, some people are, kind of expecting things to happen to them. But actually, I realized that's not what they really want. What they really want is actually to make a valuable contribution. And
Mm,
what I realized that most people's frustration is not that they're not receiving something, but they're not able to contribute in a fulfilling way.
mm. Interesting.
And that's why I feel like this growth, this spiritual life is such an important thing because it helps you to contribute, but in a fulfilling way. Because without, I feel like the internal transformation, you could work hard, be a very active activist, but then also burn out or drain yourself, um,
Mm,
get resentful, um, not being able to navigate the moments where suddenly you try so hard to build something and because of some other person's decisions or things like that, everything is kind of sabotaged and you're not able to handle it. You're not able to kind of use that experience to transform and grow. And instead of this, so Yeah, interesting.
Hmm. Well, sounds like you're pretty excited about this.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like the one thing, yeah, as I said, that's the one thing.
Hmm.
So it's something about, yeah, yeah, really, I was reflecting like what's one of the big pillars of transformation and movement. I felt like was around something around education, not just education, but like education, training, things that help people to transform and grow.
Hmm. Right. Interesting. Okay. So it sounds like getting kind of closer and closer to uh something that you can kind of see, visualize. Um, yeah, what would like if you can kind of just like envision what that would look like, what could you see if it could, you had a magic wand and it could make it look any way that you want, just kind of paint the future exactly as as your heart desires, what would you create?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, and I thought about already many times, is something around having like a education system and platform that helps every individual according to their age, life situation, and areas of focus to grow and develop.
Hmm.
Uh, so whether you're kind of preparing for matching a blessing, or whether you want to succeed in your studies, or whether you want to improve your love relationship or your parenting, or you want to develop your leadership skills, or you want to become a better you want to succeed in tribal messiah or witnessing, or in your social life, um you want to have better mind and body unity, better correlation with God, that there would be a place you could go to or programs you could attend, um, in order to learn and grow in that area that you're focusing on. Yeah.
Hmm. So some kind of program that can empower people no matter what they're working on, no matter what they're interested in or their phase of life. It's really can empower them to grow in that area.
Yeah, so it could either be programs where it's one program and it's maybe something that's transformational and that's applicable to any area or situation. And it also could be just more specific trainings, where we talk about the specific situation or area. Yeah,
Hmm.
both actually make a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Mm.
Got it. Okay. So what else, like what other kind of details would make this, even more exciting for you? What else would, have to be there to get you super excited about it?
But I could be, I see both like that. There's um, live trainings. So when I say live, it could be like in-person seminars, but also live Zoom trainings, and everything is recorded, and that we have a platform where people can also access all the recordings of all these trainings and education that we develop. Um, yeah, and that people then in the future could access again and again whenever they need to go through this program. Mm. And also see like connecting with different experts for the different areas, and bringing them together and providing a platform where they can actually serve with their expertise, serve other people, whether it's current members, peace ambassadors, contacts, new members. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Very cool. Yeah. So a place where people can offer their expertise. They can feel like they're making a valuable contribution. People can really receive a lot from that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like the important aspect will be that it's that on one part there's program education around your own growth, and then also program education about your contribution, what you can like project development, leadership, witnessing, like really these both these aspects. Um, yeah, like having trainings of how to design and run a project or an event or things like this, and
Hmm. Right. So there's kind of life development, also leadership development, how to make projects, create experiences and events for others.
mm, and while you reflect this back to me, I realize that still at the core, at the very core, among all these things, will be kind of your spiritual life and your relationship with God as
Hmm.
like the cornerstone of everything else.
Mm-mm-mm.
Uh, yeah,
Wow.
because that's what I felt like even in the past few months. I felt like I didn't go through so much content about different areas or different situations. I actually focused mostly on my relationship with God, and I felt like that guided me a lot and helped me a lot to know what to do in each situation, or to learn or to grow through situations, including also mistakes, um, and actually finding the answers within me with God's guidance more than actually outside of me as well. So I feel like that's I think it's an important aspect, that no matter how much education can come from the outside, that also there's a lot of focus on actually this first the internal transformation, but also then connecting to your inner wisdom. A bit like how True Mother is actually encouraging now people really to connect to the Chongqing One, and really, connect personally with God there and feel personally guided by God into their next actions um, in their lives.
Hmm. Right, right. Wow. I'm getting excited about it too. Sounds amazing.
Yeah. So it seems like that, there's a big vision of, having all kinds of programs and trainings and a platform where you actually can bring them all together. And then there's more like, okay, if I try to look more short term, it seems like much more focused on really the spiritual aspect of your spiritual life and your relation with God, like as a number one priority at first, and then everything else can be built on that foundation.
Hmm.
And I think on that foundation, everything else will be built in a much, much better way than without it, or with the foundation being maybe weak or something like this.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you're saying that kind of the first kind of more short-term goal would be to have some kind of program that focuses more on like a life of faith, relationship with God, spirituality, developing that kind of foundation.
Yeah.
Something like that. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, which doesn't mean that in that training there will not be a lot of practical things of how actually you develop that, and then how that practically will change your daily life and your actions actually, in
Mm-mm.
areas. But the focus is on that, and not on the things that would be more like consequences from that work than the other way around.
Mm. Right,
Mm.
right, right. Hmm. Wow. Okay. So, um, like, what would it like? Of course, you can change it as you think about it more.
Yeah.
But ideally, what would that look like as far as like time length and you know you know how many people are there and uh you know yeah, what would kind of excite you um as a kind of a program, like a substantial kind of program?
So there's different components that come to my mind more than actually like a full image of the thing. I feel like of course, it's great to have the in-person component to have a deep experience. I feel like recently I finished working with a coaching client, and one of his biggest transformation was his spiritual life. And one thing that helped him was to go back to a workshop site where he had a lot of spiritual experience in the past and kind of lost connection with them, and going back to that place helped him so much. And just yesterday with another brother, I talked about this, and he also said, yeah, I know this workshop site we have in France. It's not because there's a lot of discussion of, do we keep it, do we renovate it? And actually what we realize is that there's a huge spiritual foundation there that you can immediately sense when you come there.
Mm,
So there's this in-person aspect that comes immediately to my mind, but there is also then this other aspect of more like ongoing education, not like a one-shot thing, and then you kind of forget about it. You have this very deep experience, but then you don't do anything about it. So I feel like there would be this in-person aspect, but then also this ongoing aspect. And even if the in-person, so that if people cannot come, of course, make it a hybrid possible for the participants who cannot come to the in-person retreat. Then like an ongoing training, which is much more online based, so people don't have to travel every time for it. And then I don't know exactly yet, but some kind of something more smaller, but that would kind of be like more a daily way of like the regular content could be like on a maybe first on a weekly basis and then maybe on a monthly basis later on.
mm,
Like more like an intensive for a certain amount of weeks, and then keep going to keep checking in, a certain amount of time, and then also like a daily component,
mm,
and then also like a group support component as well. It's not just receiving education and reflecting and to building new habits around your spirituality and things like that, but also about sharing with others, supporting each other on the path. That's what comes to my mind. Yeah.
mm. Wow, it's awesome. So having like an in-person component, having like a kind of a follow-up, like drawn out program, group aspect to it. Um, yeah, that sounds really exciting. Um, so just I want to ask you, by when would you like to see this vision manifest in your life?
Yeah, I would like to have the main program to be finished before next summer. So I'm not sure about the start because it depends on the length, but I feel like the end would be great. And that we have like next we did a big 1 day gathering in July, in beginning July this year in France on National Day, July 14th in France. And we already planned to do another day like this July 14th next year. And so there were 120 people. And I feel like actually I would love that this would be a moment of celebration for those who went through that program and those who didn't. And
Mm,
the main content component would be testimonies
mm,
and kind of maybe graduation or something like this
mm,
on that day. But everybody else can participate. And there's also a program for those who didn't go through the program, but it's of course a whole national level gathering. But with a big focus on actually coming together to kind of conclude, but also, also have a clear plans for the future, yeah, and then how to keep that ongoing or things like this. And yeah.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, how would that feel? Getting together in July and people are sharing their testimonies of transformation and getting excited about the future. People are listening to the testimonies, getting inspired themselves. How would that feel for you to see that?
Yeah, it would be really amazing. It gives even more purpose to that gathering. We was really amazing this year, and I feel like I'm already excited about. It was a lot of work, but I feel like with this intention in mind, I feel like wow, it gives even more meaning, more
Mm,
because you are feeling like the gathering is both like a spiritual gathering, but also like more a very family atmosphere and things like this. And I could see it that the spiritual aspect would become stronger and it wouldn't weaken the family atmosphere because actually there would be even like a stronger and deeper connection with each other based on going through similar things and sharing transformations and things like this. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that sounds really powerful. Um,
Yeah. And I
so,
see personal growth testimonies, but also accomplishing projects and contributions
mm,
testimonies, like both.
right. Yeah, so
Uh,
really like an opportunity for people to share their victories personally and leadership wise. That's awesome. So we're getting close
yeah.
to the conclusion. So I just want to ask you, what's one action step that you could take this week to, move towards this vision, or anything else regarding your other identity statements? Also great. But yeah, what's at least one action that you could take this week you'd like to commit to?
Where I think I will share it with two people I work the most with in France. So with my national leader, David Perry, and with Victor Regnes, who's like Secretary General there, because they would be the most national leader, more like to kind of ask for his input and his vision, his perspective on the project, and then Victor also to kind of also his perspective and also getting on board because I feel like on the organization level I would rely a lot on him to actually make it happen.
Mm,
Yeah, so I feel like that's already a great action step that to move things forward because I feel like the vision needs to be still clarified, but actually by having these conversations, I feel like that will help a lot to actually clarify it. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So talk to Victor and to the national leader of this vision. Yeah, that's a great action step. Um, when would you like to take those actions? Have those conversations?
Yeah, looking at my calendar. Well, actually, I can do a first action step today. Is just leave an audio message to both of them about it. But while I'm still in that energy, not waiting, when we're gonna have a call and things like this. So that's definitely my first action. I'm leaving an audio message to them, and then and then planning a call, planning a call with them. I usually have a weekly call with my national leader. I just need to confirm that call on Thursday. I'm not sure if I can make it this week because kids are not back to school yet. It's a bit more complicated.
Mhm.
And then schedule a call with Victor as well. But yeah, first action step already is today. Leave an audio message, and then it's something. And then I know that I will have calls with them. I have calls with them on a regular basis. So just making sure that the next call happens soon, and that when we have that call, we actually talk about it.
Mhm. Right, right. Okay, awesome. Sounds like
Yeah.
you got some solid action steps and some times to do it. So yeah, great job, Raphael.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you, Justin, for creating that space to connect to that and help me to kind of clarify, but also being comfortable with the amount of clarity I found without, not having that, exact specific goal yet.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it sounds like you got to a space of, real inspiration and excitement, and it'll unfold. I think it'll unfold naturally as you have the conversations and share about it. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear about how it unfolds. All right. All right.
Great.
So thanks so much, Raphael. So we'll check in again uh next week and
Yes.
see how the progress went. So
Yeah.
mm,
Thank you, Justin.
thank you, Raphael. See you.